Welcome into your tiny week ahead reading. You know what? No, we're gonna fucking change that. Fuck that shit. Welcome into your tiny reading for this week. I am T from Tiny Divinations, here to break down the cards with you. So, as usual, we have three different piles. Pick the pile or piles you are drawn to, and I will see you in your reading. Welcome in pile one. Let's get into your cards for this week. So, the first card you have is Wealth and Abundance. This card is from the Elemental Alchemist deck, and this is the energy of your week. I'm going to read from the book for this card. So, take a breath and be patient. You are exactly where you need to be to acquire abundance, and it is important to have faith in yourself and the universe. Abundance is within you, and it will tailor to the thoughts and intentions of your mind and your soul. The goal is set. Now, step into action. Gratitude attracts new opportunities into your life, while a scarcity mindset or worry or lack will magnify your fear, not allowing progress. This is also a time to give rather than take, focusing on what you have with reflection and appreciation. Believe that there are enough resources for everyone. Be humble in your abundance and stay grounded. Take the time to affirm the goodness in your life and honor it. Avoid impatience and a need for immediate gratification. You are limiting your wealth and abundance while on the cusp of prosperity. Divine timing is knowing that everything happens as it should. Are you practicing gratitude regularly? Do you trust the universe will always provide? What is the first thing you think of when you wake up? Take action. Do something for someone and expect nothing in return. Okay, so that is the first card you have for the energy of your week. So, like it said, this is a week where the energy is abundant, it's fruitful, it's about believing, it's about faith, it's about sitting in what could be, not what you don't have. It's about sitting in what you do have and taking account of that. It's about being empathetic, it's about being, giving and in a way selfless while still being safe, you know? So this is some of what we have for the energy. Let's get into a few more cards about the energy for your week. I already pulled them. So we have accelerated motion, intuition, and authority. Okay. So, in terms of the energy this week, like I already said with the wealth and abundance card, with the accelerated motion card, you definitely have things happening this week. There's movement, there's action, there are opportunities available for you this week. It's definitely a good energy to like bring things in or to look for opportunities or to get things going or something like that. And that's interesting for you, especially because at this point when I'm reading this, we're in a heavy retrograde period with a couple of planets, right? Normally during retrogrades, they'd say don't start anything. But this, for me, for y'all, seems like a good week to see things happen, to see things move, to get things moving, right? You also have the intuition card. So part of the energy of this week also has to do with you paying attention to synchronicities, listening to your gut, paying attention to what you feel and what's in your heart space and what feels good to you, paying attention to the things that are moving and the things that are stagnant and moving based off the flow of things and what that intuitively says to you about what's happening or what's going on or what other people are thinking or things like that, right? You also have the authority card. And so I feel like part of the energy this week, part of it has to do with like masculine aspects. So strength, logic, power, building things, being in leadership, taking ownership of shit, right? But they also could bring in aspects of the opposite of that energy. So like greed, self-centeredness, like feeling, my brain just said pompous, but what I was trying to explain was like mansplaining almost, you know what I mean? Like feeling overly confident, things like that. That's part of the energy that could also come up this week. And again, this could be within you or within other people that you're dealing with. So just be mindful of like the energies that are around, that are at play. You know what I mean? Because they definitely could be you or they could be other people. So this is part of the energy that I'm getting for this week. Let's pull a few more cards and see if there's anything else to get into. It's true. Okay, so we have partnerships and alliances, and then spiritual union. So again, like I said, I think this is a good week for you to get shit started or see movement on things. If you've been thinking about working with other people on things or you need help for things, it's definitely a good time to ask for help. Use your intuition to know exactly who to ask or who's in alignment, because you have the spiritual union card. So it says that like whatever the opportunity is or the collaboration is, whether it's with one other person or with a community of people, it's definitely spiritually led, spiritually guided. Like it's kismet in terms of how it could come together, or how you recognize or realize that like, oh, we have the same idea, or we could do this together, or what you're doing could work with what I'm doing, or however the fuck that works. You know what I mean? This also gives a little bit of um, relationship energy. So part of the energy of this week could be like, um, you meet someone, or there's like some flirty energy, or it feels like, oh, I've known this person for a really long time, or something like that, or that things start like kind of blossoming with somebody that you're talking to this week. You could see that energy as well. So yeah, this is what I'm getting for the energy of this week. Let's pull some cards and see what specifically may happen. Okay, so we're using the What's Your Vibe deck, or What's the Vibe deck, to pull about some specific things that may happen this week. Immediately possibilities. Follow your dreams, make up your mind, believe in yourself. So specific things that may happen. Again, possibilities. There's possibilities for you to have the opportunities come to you this week, like I was talking about. There's a possibility for things to begin this week, for you to see progress on shit. We then have Archangel Michael, protection, prevention from harm, divine intervention. So again, like I said, what's happening this week is guided. It's kismet. There's You don't have to be worried. Epiphany, self-reflection, and wishful thinking, intimacy. So epiphany, self-reflection, answered questions, untapped talents. Wishful thinking, second chances, deja vu, nostalgia. And then next to that, you have intimacy, mutual respect, unity, closeness. So again, this brings in like that partnership aspect, that working together, like relational aspect of this week, right? So part of what may happen, like I said, is that you may realize that like you really like somebody, or you recognize that like there's a spark there, or there's something there. That's part of the specific things that could happen this week. The wishful thinking to me goes with that, but it also goes with the possibilities, and like having things come up, and instead of dismissing them or immediately having fears or anxieties about them, part of the energy of this week and part of the specific things that you're supposed to do is really sit in believing in yourself, and sitting in the fact that you could go for this, or you could have what you want, or this could pan out to be something good or better or whatever, right? And that's part of where the epiphany comes in, right? There may be times this week where you realize either what to do, or how you can do something, or that you should be doing something, or recognize that you haven't seen something as a skill that is a skill, or like, oh, I didn't mean to do that. I meant to split the deck. um the card I just saw when I split is trapped reverse, or recognize that you're not actually stuck. You're not bound where you thought you were. You're not stuck in your situation. You can help yourself move. You can make shit happen. You can see change. You do have blessings, things like that. So that's part of the specific things that I get for this week. Let me see if there's anything else. I'm not getting anything else for real. No. Okay. So these are the specific things I feel like may come up this week. Let's end your reading with some words of wisdom. Okay, so for the words of wisdom for this week, we're using the Motivation Manifesto. Those who have won major victories realize that all the resources to win are within, and the most knowledge needed to succeed is acquired after action. Okay, I love that. So don't allow the energy of this week to pass you by. Don't allow the opportunities of this week to pass you by. Don't allow the energy of tapping into your talents or the opportunities around you to pass you by. Okay, really tap in and use this energy. The last card you have is the great joys in life come when we are spontaneous and authentic while engaging in activities we care about. And the great miseries come when too many days stack up where we are conforming and posing while doing things we have no passion for. And I actually did a client reading earlier today and they got this card. So I really love that. Sit in what you really want, sit in the desires, sit in what is coming to you, okay? And really utilize this energy this week to really like build off of that. So this is what I got for you, Pile One. This is the energy of your week. Please let me know how your week is. Comment, share it with somebody else that needs it. Subscribe to the page if you are not already subscribed. If you'd like your own personal reading, you want more insight, you can book with me on wildheartbotanica.com. I have different email options and a live option. If you're not already subscribed on Substack, subscribe to the Substack. Our fairy tale reading is coming out this week. Our monthly reading is already out. It is hitting. Okay, a lot of what we talked about has already happened. I've seen it in the collective. I've seen it individually. So like, go listen to that if you haven't listened. And like I said, thank you so much for reading with me. Share it with somebody that needs it. If you have another pile, I will see you there. If not, I will see you in your next reading. Welcome in pile 2 to your reading for this week. Let's get into your cards. So the first card you have is healing, and I'm going to read straight from the deck for these. This comes from the Elemental Alchemist deck, and this is for the energy of your week. Spiritual healing is the effort and experience of reviving, balancing, and mending the soul. As we undergo life, we face challenges that more often than not leave behind trauma. We also carry generational trauma that is stored in our DNA. The modern route to handling trauma is through pharmaceuticals that encourage people to continue on with life at the same pace. Medicine is not inherently bad, but it's not doing any good if used as a bandage rather than getting to the root of the problem. Trauma responses are assigned to slow down, as your body is signaling that something is wrong. Our chaotic world leaves little room for processing, taking time for your health, mental, physical, emotional, spiritual, or maintaining a substantial work-life balance. Many people use work as an excuse, not to address harmful past trials or present issues. Rest is necessary, as is taking time to face, acknowledge, and work through the difficulties and hardships we experience. Authentic healing is working to get your soul back to when it was the most you, when you knew you were safe, interacted with all in love, and joy came as easy as breathing. Do the shadow work. Our healing is necessary for the health of our world and future generations. Questions to ask yourself this week. What limiting beliefs have you outgrown that need transforming? How can you share and give love today? What can you do today that you didn't think you could do a year ago? Take action. Write a letter to your inner child. Okay, so the energy of this week for you definitely has a lot to do with healing, getting to the root of what is going on, getting to the root of why certain things are coming up, talking to your inner child, getting and sitting down with your inner child, like getting into the things that are coming up for you as an adult that were stemming from when you were, born or when you were nurtured growing up. One of the things I talk about this month in the monthly collective reading is the mother aspect of this month. And a lot of what comes up for people has to do with like how you were or weren't nurtured, how you were and weren't taken care of, how you were and weren't mothered, things like that. And so, like, that's part of what I feel like comes in for you this week. There's a new moon this week. It's in Scorpio, so it may be an emotional week for you. It may be a heavy week for you. Like I said, there may be things that like come to the surface for you that you either may have thought that you healed from already or that you um, didn't recognize even as a thing. And now they're like in your face and you're being confronted with certain things. So, this is what I'm getting from this card for the energy of the week. Let's get into more of the energy of the week with some cards that I already pulled. So, we have choose wisely, rest and rejuvenate, and universe. So, in terms of the energy for this week, um, the rest and rejuvenation, I love that that came up because I didn't read the message for any of these cards before I pulled them, like for the elemental alchemist cards. And so I love that these came out together, me not knowing that they were together, right? But like part of what you are going to need this week, part of the energy of this week is for you to rest. That's literal rest, right? Going to sleep um at a decent time, getting enough rest, turning shit off so that you actually fall fully asleep and you can actually go through all of the cycles. But that also looks like um, putting shit down, like getting off of work at a good time, putting shit down when you need to put shit down, turning off the TV or putting the screen down, like allowing your brain to rest, right? If you're going through a lot of things this week in terms of the emotional processing you're doing, allowing yourself to take time with that and really move through the things and don't feel like you have to like, okay, I realize this, I journal about that, then I move to this thing. It's not, this is not work in that sense, right? It's feelings, it's emotions we're feeling through. And that shit is heavy and it's taxing and it takes a lot. So part of what it is also being able to add in things that, take your brain out of that space or allow you to have moments of joy and happiness. If you're working with your inner child this week, it's like going through the things that they need to talk about it, or the fears or the anger, and sussing through the things that they feel in terms of the shadow work, but also adding in the things that they needed or that they wanted that they didn't receive, right? So like being able to like give yourself, I don't know, gummies or some shit that you couldn't have when you were a little kid, but that you could have now, or sitting and watching cartoons and drinking soda on a fucking Thursday night because you're an adult and you can do whatever the hell you want to do, and you can be and do the things that that kid wanted to do for fun, while also sussing through the things that that little kid needs to feel safe and secure that will help adult you then feel safe and secure and more healed. So this is part of what I'm getting from that. You then have choose wisely, and I feel like the choose wisely in the universe card in a traditional tarot deck would be the world card, and it's the culmination of going through the fool's journey of all the major tarot cards and finding the balance, right, and finding the ultimate balance and the understanding of um, what life is and how it's more than material and it's all about the experiences that we go through and things like that, right? And so part of how you can get to a more fruitful space or more secure space in the world in general, how you can feel more elevated in a sense, is to be able to choose to really sit with the things that come up, to really suss through the things that need healing, because you can't elevate in the ways that you want to unless you really sit with yourself and you really talk to little you, and you really talk to and speak to and move through the things that are coming up for you in terms of like what what is hurting or what isn't right or what you are feeling that you don't necessarily like to feel, right? And like these things definitely come up this week in terms of energy. So this is something to sit with while also feeding yourself. Okay. Like it's like we're stripping, but we're feeding ourselves this week. Part of what I thought of when I pulled this card, the song, there was a song in my head, Lost Queen by Pharrell. So if you don't know the song Lost Queen by Pharrell, it's on one of his albums. And I'll put the link in the notes. But it's like one song in the beginning and then the song transitions, I feel like maybe 2 or 3 minutes into the song, and it turns into a different song. And the lyrics of the song are, you have to go inward, you got to go inward to experience the outer space that was built for you. And that's what I thought of when I pulled these cards. It's like you have to go inward and heal and talk to yourself and forgive other people, and let yourself know that you're safe and you're okay, and feed yourself and like build yourself up inside, heal yourself inside, work on you so that you can see and access and live in for real the world that's built for you, the world that is already here and made for you, that you're just not able to hold or operate in the same way that you would be in a healed space. And like that's a lot of energy to come up in 1 week, right? But it, like I feel like for some people it's already been happening, and this week is just like the real push or the real bubble of like this shit bubbling up, you know? So let's pull a few more cards to see if there's anything else in terms of the energy for this week. So we have fertility, awareness, trapped in fear, and then deception and envy reverse. Move these so you can see them. So again, in terms of the energy, there's real energy here for you to, like with the fertility, for you to birth knowledge, for you to birth real information about yourself, about others, about like what the fuck is really going on, whether that's with you. It's like for some people it's like real existential and life shit, you know what I mean? It's like for some people it's real psychological, and in terms of like the really birthing the awareness of like where your fears and anxieties stem from, where some of that shit may come from ancestrally, where like in a bigger systemic way, like it's been ingrained in you, and it comes from like there's ways that it comes up, and you start to like really undo the things that you've been taught, or the things that you've convinced yourself, or the things that you feel, or the ways in which you've been lied to. And like all of this really comes up this week, and it's really fertile energy for you to really understand yourself and really understand the world and why you are the way you are, what you could have access to or could be if you could see things in a certain way, or if you could heal yourself in a certain way, you know? Like that's the energy that comes up for you this week, pal, too. So let's move into some specific things that may happen this week. So for the specific things that may happen this week, we're using the What's the Vibe deck. Okay, so we have Epiphany, self reflection, answered questions, untapped talents, which we actually got in pile one. We have antisocial, in your feelings, silent treatment, left out. You then have masculine energy, reverse, authority, discipline, father figure, reverse. On the bottom, we have stuck, dead end, frozen, stagnant. And then I'm just going to go with this one as the last one. Under that, we have chaos, reverse, upheaval, disaster, downfall, and it's reverse. So, in terms of the specific things that may happen this week, um, number one, like I said, it's definitely a week where you're having things come to the surface, where you're having emotions or feelings or anxieties or triggers and traumas and things like that come to the surface. How you feel, how you've been holding yourself in certain ways, how you don't want to feel, what you've been doing, things like that, right? And part of that comes in because you're really going to take the time to be with yourself, to sit with these things, because you really should, right? There's parts of you that really don't want to, like, excuse me, this is wrong. I meant to pick up this card. There's parts of you that really don't want to, right? There's parts of you that are almost scared to kind of dig into the things or like see shit in a certain way or to like go down the negative, because for some people it causes you to like spiral in a sense, right? But again, it's like I said, we're going into it, we're resting, we're feeding, we're digging into it deeper, we're resting, we're feeding. We're not just, you know, going straight into like fucking trauma therapy, no techniques, no real guide, just digging into our traumas and then having no recourse or understanding of what to do after that. Like, that's not what we're doing, right? And you shouldn't be scared of doing it, because that's not what you're going to do. Like, we're just going to tiptoe into what's already coming up. We're going to work with what's already coming to the surface. And like I said with the monthly collective reading, part of what is coming up this month are things that have already been coming up. These aren't like brand new things, it feels like. The epiphany comes from the understanding, from the knowledge, from the grasp of understanding it, right? But it's not necessarily brand new things that you're just like, holy shit, I didn't recognize I felt like this, or that this has been doing this to me all my life. Like, that's not the thing. You know, if it's like, I recognize that this has been doing this to me, it's like, you know, I didn't realize that this has been doing this to me, but I know that I've been doing this thing, and I'm just now understanding the basis of where that comes from. This thing that I've been having an issue with or not been wanting to do or whatever the fuck, you know what I mean? You then have the masculine energy reverse, and to me, this comes up, I feel like, because we're supposed to be leaning more into like softer, nurturing, intuitive, psychological energy, right? It's not so much about doing or being or like action or building or like thinking and logic and mind. It's more so feelings and embodying and um, like your psyche and your unconscious and your shadow self and your intuitive self and like those aspects of it, right? And so like I feel like that's part of why we have the masculine energy reverse, and part of why we have the chaos reverse is because all of the things that are coming up this week specifically, like it's because like it feels like these things come up because in a way that you're over it. Like there's certain things that you're just over. You're over feeling certain ways or having certain things happen or having things happen over and over or being in certain spaces or whatever. And I feel like things come up this week, like I said, to show you in terms of epiphany that you are, and why you need to suss through these things, and why you can't just like let this shit be, you know, why it really is time to like work on and with yourself. Okay. um the card on the bottom of this deck I just looked at actually is material harvest, and it feels like I said, part of how you can get out into the world for real, part of how you can get what you want, get the bag, get more status, get more elevation. Because, and I've said elevation at least 3 times at this point. So there's something to like upward movement for you, or building up, or like expansion for you, right? And part of how you are able to do that is to work through these things that are holding you back, that are needing healing, that are needing confrontation. Okay. And so I feel like these are some of the specific things that may come up this week that allow you and force you to kind of confront that and do that, you know? So let's end your reading with some words of wisdom. Okay, the words of wisdom this week come from the Motivation Manifesto. Okay. Reality can be shaped and changed by my direct actions. And so I will act with consistency to forge my ideal life. And that starts with healing. Then you have with love's transcendent power, we can be reborn and redirected. When we open to love, life itself can feel newer, more alive, more magical, and meaningful. And I think those two are very self explanatory to what we just talked about. Okay. And I'm just going to read this last one on the bottom too. We cannot timidly wait for everything to fall into our laps. We will receive only as much, excuse me, we will receive only as we rise and march. For destiny turns its ear to those without fear. So that is your last card. And that is your reading pile 2 for this week. Please let me know how this week is. Let me know how this reading is. Subscribe to the page if you're not already subscribed. Share it with somebody who needs a reading. If you'd like your own personal reading, you want more insight, go to wildheartbotanica.com and book with me. I have a whole bunch of different options. If you aren't already subscribed on the Substack, subscribe to Substack so that you can get the monthly collective and the fairy tale reading. If you aren't already following me on socials, follow me on TikTok and Instagram at Tiny Divinations. And thank you so much for reading with me today. If you have another reading, I will see you there. If not, I will see you in your next reading. Welcome in pile 3 to your reading for this week. Let's get into your cards. So, the first card you have for the energy of this week is Goddess of the South. And this card comes from the Elemental Alchemist deck. And for this week, I'm actually going to read directly from the deck. It is time to go on a quest, and in that walk, you will face the unknown of the South. Now, in the present, is the time to make your position known to self. For as you embark on a new adventure, you will need knowledge, passion, and wanderlust to fill your hungry heart. Take a chance. Fire is on your side to protect you fiercely on your quest. In fire, one is reborn like a phoenix rising from the ashes, daring to fly higher than ever before. Motivation, self assertion, and courage are tools to help you push forward into the unknown. Morimi is the Yoruba goddess of fire. She invokes the flame to prepare you for the new planting in your life, purifying you in fire. So take that risk that you have been dying to take. The flame has been lit. What old habits need to burn for you to face your journey fiercely? Do you have a bucket list? If so, how many things have you completed? And I'd also ask how many things are on it. If there aren't at least 7 things, you need to keep working on the list. Do you only want to try something new with others? Take action. Do something you have always wanted to do but never have. Say yes more often. Okay, so that is part of the energy of your week. The goddess of the South, the passion, the starting over, the fiery nature to do what you want to do, to have a fire lit under your ass, to believe in yourself, to actually be adventurous and take risks. Like, that's part of this energy. So let's get into some more of the energy for your week. I've already pulled some cards. So we have Love Begins, Conflict and Defeat Reverse, Shadow Reverse. You have the Sacral Chakra and the Patience card. Move this up a little bit. Okay. So in terms of the energy of this week, starting with the Love Begins card, like I was telling Pile 2, I didn't read the Goddess of the North cards or any of the Elemental Alchemist cards before I pulled these other cards or before I did these readings. And I love how these two cards came together, similar to how the first two piles did. Because when I pulled these cards, it very much seemed to me like there's energy to begin shit, and specifically shit that like you're passionate about, things that invoke a fire under you, things that you're creative, that are creative, and that you feel like good doing, that you feel joy by doing. It doesn't necessarily feel like work when you're doing it, right? And there's this energy to like start that shit and to anchor in what you actually want, okay? And part of these cards come in because there's the energy this week to start that, because we need to stop sitting in what has happened, what was, and in the loss or the defeat or the fight, like feeling like I have to fight for everything, or I have to um endure some hardship before I can get like the good, or that like, I can't have what I want for some reason, right? You've had to wait and be patient and grow in ways, but what has happened and what was isn't what is, right? Part of why you have the sacral chakra card is because now is a time for you to actually really be able to sit comfortably in what you want, for you to feel like you can do that, for you to be comfortable with the act of doing that. And for some people, that is going to be retraining your brain, because you don't necessarily sit in what you want, or you may not even know what you want at this point outside of like necessities. Everything you think that you want is actually, when you think about it, a need and not a want, because you haven't had the space in the past to think about what you want or to get what you want when you've wanted things. So then you haven't allowed yourself to do that. But part of the energy this week is coming up because like you're supposed to. You're supposed to be sitting in this energy because it's here, it's around you, it's available to you in a real way. And so you got to know what you want for the universe to be able to give you what you want. You got to sit in your passions and what you're um what you feel like sparks life in you, what brings you creative feelings, what can help you be more adventurous and more outgoing, and to do that, to sit in that actionably, right? With emotionally and actionably. Okay? Because again, you are not what has happened to you. You are in a new phase, and it's going to take some time to grow, because again, this is an ace in terms of it being a one in the card. It's the beginning of, right? So it's not like you may get a whole bunch right now, but it's here. It's the beginning of something good that's going to grow, right? That's going to be beautiful, that can be exactly what you want. Because again, what we're sitting in with this week, the energy of this week, I want, right? Sacral chakra, I want. Okay. So that is part of what I get for the energy of your week. Let's pull and see. Oh, and then we have these two random cards. What we have: material harvests and foundations and achievements. So again, there is really fruitful energy here this week to build off of, to have stability and foundations based in um, growth and abundance of good things and tangibility and material. Okay. But like part of what we have to do is believe in ourselves. That's why the sun is like so prominent around his head, right? The sun is who you are. It's your identity, your ego. Part of it is, creativity, but part of it is also just like your power. And so we have to start owning where we are now and the growth that we have, and not what we've done or what has been. Owning the blessings and the goodness that we know is in our future, and not the lack or scarcity or disappointments that were in the past. Okay? So that's what I'm getting for the energy for this week. Let's move into some specific things that may happen. So for the specific things that may happen this week, we're going to use the What's the Vibe deck. We have Archangel Michael, protection, prevention from harm, divine intervention. Daydreaming, head in the clouds, delusion, hopes and dreams. So these just lend to what we were already talking about. The things that you want, where you are, who you are protected, right? You are in a space where you're allowed to move and think and expand because you are protected, because your dreams are protected, because the things that you want are being protected. I hope that y'all could hear me. I just realized that the microphone was covered. Anyway, um, these things lend to the things that we already talked about in terms of the daydreaming and sitting in what you want and realizing what you want and allowing yourself to um, think about what expansion would look like or what wanting would look like and how, you could actually really sit in that in terms of the love begins card that we have. We have drowning reverse, over your head, overextended, rock bottom. Again, you're moving into a different phase. Even if you still feel this a little bit, you have to know this is the validation. This is me letting you know from your people that you aren't going to be in that space for much longer. Okay. So we can't think from that space. We can't have our thoughts and actions be aligned with that. Like this said, you grow your world from your perspective, from your view, from your thoughts. So part of it really is for you to like know and believe that your bag is coming, your shit is coming, your opportunities are coming, and to sit in what that looks like in terms of wants. Not just, I want more money. No, but like literally, how, where, what does that look like? Give them like real things to work with. Okay. Oh, okay. So this may come up this week in terms of specific things: love affair, dirty little secrets, sex fix, down low. So it could be a little kinky this week. We have happiness, laughter, joy, healing. So you may need to have some sex. Okay. You may need to get freaky to help you relax. That may be part of the adventurousness that you're doing to help you get into a new headspace, to feel exhilarated, to like spark you up, to go, you know, take life by the horns or something. Is there anything else specific? Oh, okay. Okay. Then we have toxic, drama, arguments, incompatible, envy, which was reverse, resentful, competitive, discontent, and exhausted, burnt out, burdened, empty. Okay. So, what I will say is with these cards, specific things that may happen this week, you may find a little bit of drama. And we got those at the end. So, it may be towards the end of your week that there may be some drama, some discord, some issues that happen with people. If this does happen, it may be a result of you or somebody else literally being exhausted, especially if it happens at the end of the week. Like, be mindful that like we're all going through shit. We're all tired and have different things going on, whether it's at work or at home, and we're all moving and dealing and whatever. The holidays are coming up, so people may just be lashing out. So don't take everything personally, and or if you are this person, apologize. Right? Recognize that part of why you did that is because you're fucking tired, because you need to take a break, because you need some rest. Okay. um this may also be for some people this week. You recognize part of the adventurous and the starting over and the fire burning is you recognizing toxic situations that you have been in or you are in and being done with it. Like no longer wanting to deal with it, no longer being interested in like dealing with this person or dealing with the situation. And really, like, you have the bags packed in the back of the card. So, like, really being ready to go. Okay. And with the envy reverse, um, it may either be you that recognizes that you had been feeling resentful or competitive with them, or that you've been unhappy and you just want to go. Or it may be the realization that they are, and that this is just a toxic situation and it's time to remove yourself, right? Because maybe they aren't, you know? So this is some of what comes up specifically for this week in terms of things that may happen. Let's end your reading with some words of wisdom. Okay, so the words of wisdom this week come from the Motivation Manifesto. Okay. Success and fulfillment in life rest on the unflagging ability to get up, to be ourselves, to chase our dreams with fire each day, to keep willing ourselves to the next level of presence and performance and potential. I love that. I feel like that wraps up the whole reading. That fell out literally by itself. So that is your words of wisdom for this week. And that is your reading pile 3. Thank you so much for reading with me. If you aren't already, subscribe to the YouTube, subscribe, share this reading with somebody who needs it, comment, and let me know how your week is or what you think about the reading. Um, Book with me if you'd like your own personal reading, you want more information for you. I have a couple different options on wildheartbotanica.com. If you aren't already subscribed on the Substack, subscribe to the Substack or Apple Podcasts or Spotify to get our monthly collective reading, to get our fairy tale reading, um, and follow me on all the socials, TikTok and Instagram at Tiny Divinations. If you have another pile, I will see you there. If not, thank you so much for reading with me. I appreciate you so much. I will see you in your next reading.